What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Man, today has reached 102 degrees and I'm still going to be wearing my sweater and beanie. Though the weather has cooled down a little bit, it's still currently sitting at about 94, 95 degrees, and we do have a little breeze. So what I want to do right now is, because the weather has died down a little bit, I kind of want to work on my sedan before we move it off the driveway to work on my brother's wagon. So last night I also placed orders for suspension replacements for my brother's blue wagon. So before I bring it up on board, I kind of want to tinker with this car a little bit, since we are still waiting for parts to show up anyways, and really just kind of get down to the bottom of the noise that's coming from what I'm hearing is the transmission area. Now, the previous update to the sedan, I popped the transmission out, I inspected it, I made a tool to rotate the transmission on the bench, didn't really hear the noise. The oil that came out of it was clean, like brand spanking new, not a speck of metallic came out of it, and it kind of left me a little stumped. And because I didn't want my car to be out of commission, I threw everything back into the car just to have it drivable for when I work on my brother's car. So while it's still here in the driveway, I kind of want to do a process of elimination. I've been kind of sitting here a little bit tinkering with this model car right here. Just built a harness bar, which is still drying right there, and just kind of waiting for the weather to die down. But while I was sitting here tinkering with that, kind of thinking about, you know, the whole ordeal with the sedan, I'm kind of like wondering if maybe the exhaust is causing this weird noise. Maybe it's rubbing up on the viscous coupler, maybe it's rubbing up on something that's rotating on the rear axle, viscous coupler, drive shaft. I don't know. A lot of you guys were saying like maybe the drive shaft is making all the noise. The car doesn't have a front drive shaft. It literally just showed up last or 2 weeks ago, and it's sitting on the floor over there. Haven't even installed it yet, but the viscous coupler and the rear drive shaft is installed in the car. But I will say that with this transmission, because I'm hearing the noise coming from the transmission bell housing area, this transmission came out of the wagon, which I blew up in Mexico, but I repaired it. New counter, main, third, along with sliders and new synchro. So the transmission went into this car with the old blown K20 engine. Didn't make any type of noise whatsoever. And then I built an exhaust system for it, and then I drove it 70 miles to the dyno. It didn't make any type of weird bearing noise whatsoever. And then obviously the engine popped, the new motor went in, everything got up and going again, drove around the block numerous of times, never heard the noise. Did the all-wheel drive conversion before the exhaust system, drove around the block, didn't hear any type of noise. Then I did the all-wheel drive system with the viscous coupler and the drive shaft in the back installed, drove around the block, didn't hear any type of noise. But when I did the new oval exhaust system, that's when the noise started happening, right? So today I just want to quickly check to see if maybe the exhaust is rubbing on something, because when I had it up on jack stand last time, I didn't really pay attention to the exhaust. I paid attention to the transmission area because that's what my ear was telling me to go look at. So I want to put it up on jack stands, turn the car on, see if it hits anything, and probably not gonna hear it because RPM is not gonna be high enough, because it only makes noise the faster you go. But I want to pop the exhaust off the car, drop it, drive it, and see if the noise is there. Because if the noise is not there with the exhaust off the car, then we know that it's something with the exhaust system. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the car up in jack stands. I don't want to talk you guys ears off. Let's see what we find. Now, it's gonna be hard to mimic anything rotating in the rear of the car because I don't have the front drive shaft on. So I don't know if I want to, in this video, unbox the front drive shaft and install it to see if there's any weird whining noise coming from the rear, like rubbing up on the exhaust with the axle or whatever. But I'm gonna check it one more time in the front area that's gonna be moving, obviously, and see if I can hear any noise there, and then we'll pop the exhaust off while it's hot, because today's already hot. Like I said, it only winds up really loud the faster you go, and you can't really hear anything because this is literally idle speed right now. And there's no weird noise currently. still hear it here. But this is literally the flywheel bell housing. There's nothing here other than the clutch, because all the gears and shaft are over here. But I hear it like, I don't know, somewhere here. A different noise than what I'm hearing inside the car when I'm driving. Like if I'm not hearing it in the front right now with it in gear while I'm revving it up, it might be a rotation in the back. It's kind of hard to hear it inside the car, whether it's coming from the front or the back of the car. Now, because I know that the whining noise is there with the exhaust on the car while I'm driving, I'm gonna go ahead and take off just the axle back right now. The midsection is still bolted to the downpipe and it has a flange at the end, so the midsection should hold up underneath the car. But I'm gonna take off the axle back because, you know, the section that goes over the axle, we're just trying to eliminate if the axle is rubbing up on the exhaust. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. I just want to crawl underneath here real quick to show you that the exhaust is nowhere near the drive shaft or the viscous coupler, so I doubt the rotating noise is hitting the midsection. And yeah, you should be able to drive with this still on here. I'm gonna crawl underneath here one more time, make sure the downpipe is not rubbing up on the half shaft. Make sure the axle is not rubbing up on anything. You got plenty of gap right here. Transfer case not in the way of the downpipe. Good there. Axle. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and drop the car and drive it around the block. I looked at the rear axle. There's no marks at all indicating that it may touch the axle back. So we're gonna find out. Still there. I can hear it rolling in neutral. I don't know if you guys can hear it. Low speed, you can't hear it at all. left and right, but you can hear it. I drove around the block a second time to see if I can stick my head out the window to hear where the noise is coming from. Kind of hard to do, but I did drive at a constant speed, and from the inside of the car, paying attention to the noise, I don't know if I'm hearing it on the passenger side. Now, the only thing rotating on the passenger side would be the half shaft, the axle, and the rotating assembly. Now, I doubt it's the rotating assembly because the engine is brand new and I do trust KELLYBUILT, but half shaft bearing can go bad. The axle is brand new, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to order a half shaft bearing because I've done it in the KRX. I got the part number, easy to do. I'd rather do the easy work first than to do the hard work, which is dropping the transmission, buying the bell housing bearing set from Synchrotech or cross-reference to Honda, whatever is cheaper. But I still want to do the bearing in the bell housing eventually, but I want to do all the simple stuff on the outside first. So I'm going to order the half shaft bearing. When that shows up, I'll just change it out, see if it makes any difference. But the noise is still there. So what I'm actually going to be doing right now is I'm just going to jack the car up, put my axle back into the car, and I think I'm going to utilize the rest of the sunlight there to pull this engine out of the garage. I did get some oven cleaner, scrub it down a little bit, and possibly just get it ready to spray if I have primer and cast aluminum. If I don't, at least it'll be ready to spray. So I'm gonna put that back together, and then we're gonna roll this outside. Huh. You think maybe when cylinder number 1 blew up, all the carnage hit the half shaft and messed up the bearing? Because it didn't make any noise when I drove it to the dyno. The half shaft and axle sits right here. It's kind of hard to check it when it's not secured, but this belongs to the wagon. All right, guys, so the sun is starting to set right there, and we are done for the day. We have the long block for the wagon all cleaned up. All the dirt, grime, grease, and oil that was caked up on there is no longer caked up on there. And I'm probably gonna go to the store and grab like a little narrow wire wheel so I can kind of put it on the drill and clean out those little crevices. There's still some like leftover residuals from the oven cleaner. The oven cleaner works really great, but if you leave it on there too long, it starts to like change the color on the aluminum, or it leaves like a powder behind. And I kind of just want to use a wire wheel to clean everything up, as well as all the rust. I'm going to take this entire long block apart except the head and the block, because we don't need to, but I want to reseal anything that has RTV, because wherever I got this engine from, the previous owner used black RTV. I don't really like black RTV, and I'm gonna reseal everything, take the timing cover off, and kind of look at the timing chain and the tensioner and see what condition they're in. Probably gonna redo the oil pan as well too, because this oil pan actually had a little slit on the bottom of the pan, and for the last I don't know how many years it literally has RTV over that little gouge. So I want to at least try to patch that up as well too, so we can get rid of the RTV on the bottom of the pan, and overall just paint it. I only have cast aluminum. Most people will spray without primer. I prefer to use primer to make sure it lasts long, and we'll do that when we get paint. I didn't spray the transmission down today, but probably gonna do that. I don't know, I'm not in a rush to put this motor back together, so I'll probably do it off camera. I'm gonna actually take that transmission, put it on my spare engine stand, which is in the back over there. Got to dig it out and have it elevated so I can clean it much easier, so I can spray it much easier. I'll do that a different day. I also cleaned the starter right there on top of the valve cover, so I'm gonna be spraying that as well too. I may as well, even though you're not gonna see it, but it's already out. We may as well do it. And you know what I'm saying, like, progress is better than no progress. I'm waiting for parts to show up for the Wagon's brake system and all that, and then we'll start diving into the engine bay, do some touch-up paint around the bay itself, and change a few things. I picked up some stuff from B&R Fitting today for some of the changes we're going to be doing in the bay itself, as far as the fuel lines and fuel pressure regulator, all that fun stuff. We'll talk about it when it shows up. I talked to some of my friends and kind of ran them through the scenario of the half shaft. I'm thinking maybe, you know, rod from cylinder number 1 blew out, all the carnage, destroyed the bearing, and the bearing is probably what's making noise in the half shaft. Who knows? But I'm probably gonna order it when I get into my room, and then have that on the way so we can change that out to see if it makes any difference. But I'm kind of like crossing fingers that might be my issue, but we'll find out when we get that. So anyways, I'm gonna wrap it up for tonight, guys. Not much in this video, but you already know progress is better than no progress. I'm just out here trying to take it easy, but also progressing some things just so we can get back into motion here real soon. If you guys enjoyed this video a little bit, be sure to leave a thumbs up, and if you guys want to stick around to see more EF stuff here on the driveway, be sure to hit the subscribe button. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. And you know what's funny too, both of these chargers stopped working when it was on the wall, and I took it to put it down here, and they both work now. So now I got 2 chargers. Awesome. Except I broke this guy again. This will be number 5.